I'm reading through the Old Testament and I just finished Deuteronomy. I want to share 3 things that stood out to me. First one, it kept saying, do not be afraid, do not be fearful, do not be terrified, because these people were obviously terrified. And every time he would say, do not be afraid, the Lord will fight for you. The Lord will fight for you. The Lord has handed this land over to you. So that's why you don't need to be afraid. We can trust in God's character. He's worthy. He has control over it. We do not need to be afraid. The second thing, it would always say, remember, remember, do not forget, remember, remember, do not forget. Why? Because we forget. They are going through the wilderness. They will forget all that God has done for them. The wilderness is like the time of waiting. When you're waiting for a prayer to be answered or you're waiting for something, that's the wilderness, right? It takes a long time. That's a long part of our life. Be sure to remember, do not forget, remember, do not forget, remember and do not forget. We can forget all the good things that happen to us. And when we go through bad things, all the ways that God has brought us out, all the good things that God has done in our life. I love him saying that because it's like, remember, don't forget, don't forget. You'll see some people's houses be covered with Hobby Lobby, like Bible verses. They might have a tattoo or something. If you come to our house, you'll see some phrases here and there. And like, why? It's because I don't want to forget. I don't want to forget the Lord's goodness. I don't want to forget everything he has got me through, everything he has brought us out of. I don't want to forget his blessings. And these group of people not only are going through the wilderness, but they are about to head into the promised land. And when we go into the promised land, when we go into that place where prayers have been answered, we tend to forget all that God has done. So do not forget. The third thing, it kept saying carefully, or be careful to follow, be careful to observe, carefully. And you'll see it not only in Deuteronomy, but also throughout the Bible. It says, be diligent, be watchful, be alert. When you're being careful, you're considering things carefully. When you're being careful, you're intentionally doing things. Our default mode is not to obey him in all our ways. That's why else would God say, carefully observe my commands, carefully follow them? Because if you're not, you're going to follow how everyone else is living and doing and live like them. This group of people, they are set apart for Christ. If you are in Christ, you are set apart. So we need to be careful how we live for Christ. And it takes large intentionalities. Woo! When you're being alert, you know that there's a spiritual battle going on between evil and good at all times. And when you're alert of that, it puts everything into perspective and you realize what you need to prioritize. So you would be more careful to follow him. Those are 3 things that stood out to me. I hope that gets you excited about reading the Bible.